Hello and welcome back. My name is Kirsten Patton. I'm going to be the moderator for today's session, and I have on Chris Carrigan with us. Chris, do you mind doing a brief intro before we dive into our questions today?
Sure thing. My name is Chris Carrigan. I am the current program manager for Cosmo, which is Cloud Services Mission Operations for the Defense Counterintelligence Security Agency. This program encapsulates not only cloud management on both NIPR, SIPR, and eventually JWICs, but also it is the incorporation of an eventual data layer that will encapsulate all of the data management, data acquisition, and data strategies for the entire agency, hopefully forthcoming within the next maybe 24 months. I have been at this agency for about 8 months, started at this agency back in 2020, but came back to run the cloud operations again about 8 months ago.
Amazing. We're so happy to have you on with us. Chris, can you explain how the DCSA Cloud PMO transitioned from traditional procurement to an agile acquisition framework, and why was this change necessary?
Yes, so it's a great question. So when I came back to the agency again about 8 months ago, I came into a spider web of issues, not necessarily issues that were caused by the current government staff, but as we are transitioning from certain cloud capabilities, again, to a centralized data management facility, we had the opportunity to take a look at several current contracts that we have and really take a look at what can be used, what can be phased out, and then what can we combine into a hybrid type approach. So using the Agile Acquisition Framework, we were able to renegotiate with some vendors, again, take a look at some of the colors of money that we have available. We do have, similar to a lot of the other agencies out there, O&M or DT&E, but we do have, I believe what's called Category 6 or Cat 6 type funding, which also incorporates defense working capital funds. So taking a look at that, there are some timelines available in which those colors of money are able to be used. And looking out into the future and the requirements that this agency has, not only for the background investigation mission, but also the capabilities that we are refactoring to meet the requirements for the background investigation mission and industrial security. What can we actually use currently in place? And then take a look at acquisition strategies to use that forward momentum and use the colors of money that go beyond maybe 1 or 2 years and create that strategy from an agile perspective, and which will allow us not only to maintain the requirements that we currently have, but build in functionality, again, from an agile perspective. So again, we were able to, again, look at the entire landscape of our contracts, the colors of money, the requirements, and be able to phase those out, again, according to the money that we have, the timelines that we do have, the requirements, as well as the requirements of those particular programs.
Amazing. How has the PMO's hybrid acquisition strategy, combining FAR and non-FAR agreements, how has that improved the speed and flexibility of your cloud acquisitions?
So the FAR-based approach, while appropriate, it does take some time, right? So there's a lot of research that needs to be done based on the particular requirement. There's the competitive nature of FAR, so you do have to do RFIs and RFPs in order not only to allow contractors to bid, but we are also, as the government, we need the contractors to provide us the information, the capabilities, the timelines associated with the particular requirements that we do have. And again, in order for the government to do its due diligence and to ensure that we are being good stewards of our money, we do have to take that time to ensure that the contractors that can actually meet that requirement are able to respond and respond accordingly. Now, in order for us to meet requirements and program timelines, we do also have to ensure that we are taking an approach where things are being delivered iteratively. So if we do look at some of the capabilities that can meet those long-term requirements and keep them at a FAR-based approach, maybe we can use an OTA or other transactional authority, which takes a shorter amount of time, and use those contract strategies to deliver smaller capabilities closer to current timelines rather than 2-3 years from now. So what we did, we took a look at the long-term approach. If we are trying to meet cloud capabilities, let's just say, and we know that there is a baseline, cloud doesn't really change too much in terms of storage and compute capabilities. So if we are looking at multi-million-dollar contracts, we could take a little bit more time doing the FAR-based approach for that particular contract while we use an OTA, deploy certain cloud capabilities, and iterate on that OTA for some of the critical things that are needed. So again, that's the approach that we had taken, really deep diving into the program and capability requirements that we have from the agency, spreading those out in terms of timelines, that the fiscal availability that we do have. And if we can meet those, and this is the exact approach that we had taken, deploy OTAs in the near term, meet some of the critical capabilities, deploy those, test those, and while we are doing the long-term FAR-based approach. That is the exact approach that we had taken and are taking right now.
Now, what role has AI, ML, and modular frameworks played in streamlining approval processes and other integrated emerging technologies?
So AI is really a funny one, right? In depending on who you speak with, everybody's going to have a different idea and take a different approach as it pertains to AI, whether it's a machine learning application or if you're actually using stats, looking at some of the anomalies within data and taking that approach. So what we did from a cloud perspective was use AI capabilities using our FinOps tool or financial operations tool. And so what we did was take, let's say, a year's worth of AWS costs, which includes compute, store, and a lot of different things for the piece parts that we're using AWS for. This is one of the approaches where we didn't really have the timeline to either do an OTA or a FAR-based approach. So we spoke with some of the staff that we do have. Cosmo has about 75 government employees. So we did meet with them individually and ask, hey, does anybody have any AWS experience? And we did meet with 2 or 3 of them. So after several iterations of conversation, we found out that we could actually use some of the AWS cost components, take those particular cost components and extrapolate some of the instances that are being used for the cloud itself. And then from that, we can actually deploy some AI agents on that to do a host of things. So number one, if there are some spikes in some of the instances that were being used, can AI actually capture that spike, initiate an alert if need be, and then give an assumption as to why that particular spike in cost was made and how to prevent it in the future, whether that be deploying additional capabilities prior to that spike occurring, or just a notification stating there are more people being used, more instances being used, more people jumping into this particular cloud instance and using it. Maybe there was more data being ingested at that point. And then from there, we were able to take that AI component and extrapolate that into a year and separate that per program and give that cost model to the program so they can plan properly. So that's how we used AI to help not only control our costs, but provide those costs to the programs so they could either ask for more money or plan accordingly and spend their underspend.
Incredible. How has collaboration with internal teams and external partners helped to ensure successful cloud acquisitions that meet the mission needs?
Great question. And I think I went over that a little bit from the previous questions. So collaboration is key, especially with something as large as cloud. A lot of agencies are moving to the cloud now, not only building applications, but migrating a lot of the current applications that they have into the cloud. So that takes a fundamental approach of just information and conversation. So what we did was create an onboarding process. So that cloud onboarding process included several different things, a programmatic aspect, as well as a technical aspect. So the programmatic aspect provides a survey that provides us a survey for the program that provides us, the cloud broker, a ton of information for us to provide information, create a cloud migration plan, and create an SLA or service level agreement in which we would provide services to that program. The technical component would allow us the ability to create an architecture for that particular program. And if that program is expected to expand in the near future, we could create that expansion as well. So combining both the programmatic and technical aspect into one, we could give that really high-level overview to the program that allows them to not only forecast for their funding, but also forecast for their engineering needs. And if they didn't have engineering needs, we could actually provide the ROM or the rough order magnitude for us to provide those engineers over to them. So from a financial aspect, it allows the agency to just plan accordingly. So again, we provided the survey that provides a programmatic and a technical aspect, allows those programs to take a look at the timeline according to the survey that we had provided, and it allows them to again plan accordingly from a financial aspect.
And my last question for you before we wrap up here is, what has been the biggest impact of these innovations on deployment times, security, and the overall mission success?
Another great question. So again, when we are taking a look at the holistic approach of migration to the cloud, there are several different aspects that need to be taken into consideration. So timeline, cost, and then again, security. Security is the biggest thing, and you cannot move forward without collaboration, without conversation, without information, and without agreement. And I had mentioned before that we provided a survey to all of the programs that are migrating to the cloud. So again, from the programmatic aspect, the service level agreement is probably the biggest component because it allows us to define what we are providing to that program, and it allows the program to understand what to expect from the cloud organization. Now, from a migration standpoint, that is all in there, but from a service level agreement, one of the key components that you had just mentioned is security, specifically cybersecurity. So the cloud allows for components to be locked down from a cybersecurity aspect, but there are also cybersecurity services that we could provide as from the cloud organization. So this has allowed us to reduce probably by 30%, adding in cybersecurity components, putting those cybersecurity components into their RMF timeline, and then provide them access to the accrediting official in allowing the accrediting official to see in detail what the programs are doing, how they're migrating to the cloud, and how certain cybersecurity tools and components are going to further protect that particular capability. And again, it further reduces the timeline that particular capability can deploy into the production environment. There was a significant reduction. I think we said it was about a 30% reduction. And because we have met with these folks and provided the surveys, instead of them going to external entities to seek cloud capabilities, they have reduced their cloud spend by almost 50% just because they are doing it in-house. Not only from migration to the cloud, but we've also taken on the data responsibility as well. So the data acquisition piece, centralizing data into a central authority and providing that data back out. So instead of all of these entities, these programs, capabilities going out and buying and pulling in data from multiple vendors, we could actually narrow down into one or two different vendors or data suppliers, pull it in, and then supply that data to them. So it's many coming in and then many going out just into one location. So again, 50% on the cloud spend in reduction, and then about 30% timeline reduction for the RMF activities.
Well, Chris, congrats to you and your team on all of your incredible success, and thank you for being here and sharing all of this with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say or share before we go?
I think that's about it. You've asked some good questions. I think I've been as thorough as possible. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.